You think you can keep up with me?
Dreamcast is the most powerful games console in the world's history, and it's the only games console that brings you into the world of online gaming, emailing, and worldwide web surfing.
The advantage of online gaming is that it does sort of detach a lot of the stigmas that have been present in gaming before, it gets people together.
But multiplayer capability goes way beyond that. For the first time in console history, Dreamcast incorporates modem technology.
Okay, so it's no secret that Sega, during their run as a hardware manufacturer, were known to experiment a lot, for better and for worse. While in some ways this did hinder the company, and it could even be argued that it played a role in Sega's downfall, it's also true that this experimentation has brought us so many unique experiences that push the envelope of your expectations. Now you guys know, it's no secret I love the Sega Dreamcast, and for me a lot of that is down to the experimentation and software you couldn't find anywhere else. Games like Jet Set Radio, Space Channel 5, Samba de Amigo, Sonic Adventure, Shenmue, Seaman. I can go on and on and on really. I do firmly believe Sega's output of games during the Dreamcast's short lifespan was the best it's ever been to date. Now like I just did, when we talk about unique games on the Dreamcast, you can easily list off recognisable titles many people remember fondly to this day. A lot of the stuff on the Dreamcast is acknowledged pretty openly in the gaming community for pushing the gaming industry forward, whether that be Jet Set Radio for showing how cell shading can be used to truly stylize a game and give it a gorgeous art style, or Shenmue for creating a true open world the player can get immersed in and truly have freedom to do what they want. And yes, of course, there is the online Dreamcast games, most notably Phantasy Star Online, which brought an online RPG to consoles for the first time ever and was an incredible showcase for how online gaming can work on a console and create some magical memories. However, when we talk about online Dreamcast games and Dreamcast games that innovated in general, there is a title that gets very little recognition. In December of 2000, Sega released Planet Ring. This is one of the earliest games on record to require an internet connection at all times to play. There is no offline mode to speak of whatsoever. Planet Ring was a PAL exclusive online Dreamcast game, which was a very rare occurrence. Typically over here in PAL territories, we were given the short end of the stick when it came to online games. Many games that had online multiplayer support over in the States had that feature removed for the PAL version, most notably the NBA 2K games and Unreal Tournaments. And then there were also the online games that just didn't even get a PAL release, like 4x4 Evolution and Alien Front Online. Back in the day, this was a very frustrating thing for PAL users, missing out on great online titles, and then when online titles did get a PAL release, they would often have the online component removed for seemingly no reason at all. However, Planet Ring went against that curve. This was one of the few online Dreamcast games to be a PAL exclusive. This was a first party game published by Sega, and it was actually given out as a free game in the official UK Sega Dreamcast magazine. Now outside of the Dreamcast Online community, the world seems to have forgotten this game existed. There is very little coverage of the game online, and you very rarely hear people ever bring it up when talking about Dreamcast Online and the Dreamcast as a whole, and I think it's a damn shame, because of the entire library of Dreamcast games that had online functions. I believe Planet Ring was truly different and incredibly ahead of its time. It was an incredibly unique experience that created such a fun and positive environment for its players, and I really think it's a shame this game never gets any real recognition when talking about great Dreamcast games. Yes, this game is quite short and isn't on the scale of something like Quake or Phantasy Star Online, but what it does do feels quite special and unique. Besides, bear in mind, this game was given out for free in the UK Dreamcast magazine and wasn't sold standalone at a full retail price. I assume that the game has likely been forgotten due to its limited release in PAL territories and the Dreamcast's early demise in 2001. With the game releasing in December 2000, it was a matter of months away from Sega announcing they were pulling support for the Dreamcast, and like I said earlier, this game required an internet connection at all times, so once those servers were turned off, that was it. There was no way to experience Planet Ring in any way, shape or form. This game almost seemed destined to be forgotten. But what the hell exactly was Planet Ring? Well, the game is described like this on the back of the case. Indulge yourself in a totally new concept created by Sega for its world of online gaming and experience a new form of online communication. Planet Ring is an online theme park containing many exciting elements which you can only experience through Dreamcast. There are currently 4 mini attractions on this planet. Each is simple but addictive. Dream Dorobo, Ball Bubble, Soar and Splash, and together with other amenities such as Ring Messenger and many entertaining events to be introduced in the future, this is truly a gamer's paradise. It's clear to me that this game's seen itself as something a little bit more than just a normal online game. To me, it feels like the developers saw it as almost like a hybrid between a game and a social media platform. Almost like a very early version of something like PlayStation Home, with things like the Messenger, the friends list, and the ability to give info about yourself such as whereabout you live, the languages you speak, and your gender. Planet Ring was almost pushed as a place to digitally hang out with friends and make new friends with the option to play some cool mini games if you want to. This game supported the Dreamcast keyboard, allowing you to easily communicate with other players and chat. On top of that, the game goes even further. It supports the Sega Dreamcast microphone. That's right, this Dreamcast game from 2000 running over a dial-up internet connection supported voice chat. In 2 of the 4 mini games, you can fully communicate with your peer over a juicy 33k connection.
Shut up. It's supposed to be fun. If you want to bitch and complain about people, hey, fucking leave.
You know, Nasty knows what I'm talking about, you know. Bobby, go I always give some more.
Bobby, shut the fuck up. If you guys are going to sit here and bitch and complain about video games you're not going to have fun, leave. I'm tired of listening on bitch and complain about something that's for fun. You know, take this fucking serious and fun. Yo, Bobby, shut the fuck up.
In North America, the Dreamcast modem was a 56k one, but in Europe and other territories, the console shipped with a 33k modem, making the fact this game supports voice chat even more impressive. This truly solidifies the communication aspect of this game. Above all else, it can be used as a communication platform to talk to other players all over Europe. Now let's actually look at the different aspects of this game. So, let's start off with the character creator in the game. Before you can do anything in Planet Ring, you need to fill in some info about yourself. Firstly, you're going to want to give yourself a username so people know who you are. Then the game's going to want a password so you can keep accessing your account when you log back on. Then you're going to have to put in your product code. Now, this was something that came inside the case of the game. If you still have an original copy of the game like I do, the original code will work and you're good to go. If not, you're going to need to burn a patch disk that will allow the game to connect to the private servers. After that, you can pick your gender, then you can say where you're from, as long as you're somewhere in Europe. You can also say what language you speak and list multiple if you're fancy and are bilingual. Then put your birthday in and then you can customize the color of your character. There's a fair few colors to choose from and you can also choose to give your little guy suspender pants if you want. Last thing to do is to essentially rate yourself. There are 3 sliders: intelligence, looks and kindness. It's up to you to plot yourself down where you believe you land. Damn, okay, this game wants all the cards on the table. After all that, you're good to go. Also, in the information center, there is a couple of other things you can check out after you've made your character. Firstly, there is a leaderboard table. This has all the high scores for all the minigames and allows you to compare yourself against others and see where you rank. There is also an attraction map which shows you all the minigames currently on the planet, and there is also a notice board. Originally, this will have been consistently updated and used to announce events and keep people in the know with updates. Okay, but enough with all the little stuff. Let's leave the information center and actually look at what everyone is here to play, the minigames. Okay, so let's start off with the first game, Ball Bubble. Ball Bubble is a game that supports 2 to 4 players. You and up to 3 other people battle it out for the highest score. The game works like this. There is a flat square of terrain that is divided into 4 different colours. You have one of these 4 colours. Balls and gems will fall from the sky into the middle of the terrain. It's up to you to manipulate the environment to have the balls fall off the platform on your corner. There are 2 ways to do this. You can drop white balls which will gradually push up the environment, and you can also drop black balls which will gradually push down and dent the environment. On its own, the game is a pretty decent concept, but it could get a bit stale. However, that's what the randomizer stops. Throughout the match, a variety of different events will happen. This can range from a huge amount of balls raining from the sky, to an earthquake shaking everything on the terrain, to a bomb that leaves huge dents in the environment, and many more. These different events help keep the game fresh and exciting. The match can change rapidly, so you always need to be prepared in case something drastic happens. It keeps things fun and adds elements of luck to the game that can be great if it's in your favour and infuriating if it's not. The next game is Soar. Soar is a game that supports up to 8 players, which again is quite impressive considering that this game will be running on a 36 kilobit connection. Soar is a very fun and light-hearted game. You and up to 7 others race each other in little hovercrafts that are incredibly hard to control. This control struggle is what gives the game its identity. It can become very hectic as you and 7 others scramble to do things like pop a balloon, reach the top of the stage, or hit the checkpoints and reach the finish line. While the stages are very short and there is only 5 stages to play, the game is a blast and very fun. In a way, it is a predecessor to games like Flappy Bird, games designed with a simplistic concept but with very wacky controls that will intentionally have you struggle to do basic tasks like turn. The game runs very smoothly with no noticeable lag from you or any of the other players online and has some really nice graphics. Skyboxes are nice and the fluffy clouds are pleasing to race on. Now, Soar was actually advertised at the time that it supports up to 32 players, but that's kind of stretching the truth, but then I guess it kind of isn't. Okay, so basically in Soar you can use up to 4 players locally to control the one hovercraft. So I can control this hovercraft on my own with 1 gamepad, or me and another person can with 2 gamepads, or me and 2 people can with 3 gamepads, or 3 with 4 gamepads. It's still one hovercraft, but it technically is 4 players controlling it. So theoretically, if there is a full 8-player game of Soar and every player is 4 local people controlling the hovercraft, you can technically have a game with 32 people playing, but damn, that's some serious punching weight shit right there. I am curious if anyone ever did do that. Probably not, but who knows. Anyway, I really do like Soar. If you can get an 8-player game, it's mayhem, but even just 1v1 is still a great time. There isn't too many tracks and you can basically see all the game mode has to offer very quickly, but it's something you'll always come back to for a quick blast in the hopes you can finally fight the controls enough to place first and get a good time on the leaderboards. Next up is Splash. Firstly, you've got to love that logo. Very nice indeed. Okay, so Splash is essentially battleships. I'm sure you guys have played or at least heard of battleships before. 2 players have ships on a grid and they're trying to hit each other's ships without knowing where the ships actually are on the map. Now, in the original traditional game of battleships, the game was very luck based. It essentially boils down to place your ships down on the grid, then randomly shoot at random squares on the map until either you hit all of your opponent's ships or they hit all of your ships. And yeah, like, I've had fun playing battleships a couple times at places like hotels when I was younger and stuff, but on its own, it wouldn't really make for an engaging video game in my opinion. However, in Planet Ring, the game has been overhauled to be much more skill based and far less random. There is a proper actual element of planning and trying to see what your opponent is thinking. So of your 4 ships, each ship has a different range. They can't shoot anywhere on the map, but they can only shoot so far away from themselves. The bigger ships have very short range, but the smaller ships have quite a high range. This feature plays into the other big addition Planet Ring adds. You can now move your ships around the map. Now again, the amount of squares a ship can travel varies between ships. The combination of ships having limited range and the ability to move ships around the map definitely make the game much more active and energetic. Things are never still in a game that is, when traditionally played, notoriously still. To really spice things up though, the game will also actively give you small bits of info about your opponent and the moves he's making. For example, when your opponent moves his ship on the map, you will be notified and even get an arrow in the direction your opponent is moving his ship. Also, if you shoot your shot and miss but are close to an enemy ship, the game will let you know. A message will pop up saying how many ships proximity your shot was to an actual ship. All of this definitely changes the pace of the game and makes things much more active and engaging. If you were to tell me that this minigame is just battleships, I wouldn't be too keen to be honest, but after actually playing it and seeing everything the dev team did to change the game up and make it its own thing, Splash is a really fun time. On top of everything I mentioned as well, this game also supports full one-to-one voice chat between you and your opponent. This truly is the cherry on top that makes this game mode just so fun. It's already incredibly tense, trying to move your ships around to make good shots and avoid getting hit, all while not trying to give away too much info about your position to your opponent. But with real-time voice chat between the 2 of you, the game is a blast. This is also an incredibly impressive showcase for the Dreamcast microphone and the Dreamcast Online capabilities. The mic slots into the expansion port of your controller, and considering the mic is a close proximity mic and this is all running through a 33K modem, the voice chat quality is very impressive. The other big online game that uses the Dreamcast mic, Alien Front Online, is also very impressive, but the audio mixing for that game between the voice chat and the game volume is awful. The game is so loud it makes it very hard to hear what people are saying, due to the constant explosions and lasers coming from the game audio.
I'll be back on after dawn.
But here in a slower paced game with less noise and much better audio mixing, we can clearly hear the Dreamcast voice chat, and it is very impressive. I've had full conversations with others about completely different things while playing this game, like I was in an Xbox party or something. To be honest, I've been in Xbox parties that have had more lag and cutouts. Aside from the mic quality being a little bit crunchy, the quality of the voice is generally quite good, and it's clear, at least to me, what people are always saying. In the times I've used the voice chat, there has never been any cutout or lag. It stays consistent right through the game. It's truly incredible to just hear how well the Dreamcast pulls off voice chat. However, the next minigame is the one that truly takes the cake. While Splash was a great showcase for how voice chat can add so much to a game, our final minigame Dream Dorobo is a showcase of how a game can be built around the concept of voice chat. Being fully transparent here, this is the defining game of Planet Ring. In fact, when reading an interview with a Planet Ring developer Dreamcast Live conducted, he actually revealed that Planet Ring was initially just going to be this one minigame, but they decided to add more on as a bonus. Just like Splash, Dream Dorobo is 2 players only. In the game, you and your partner work together. One of the players will control a little dude in a huge maze. It's his job to go grab sacks of money and bring the money back to the ship. However, the maze is not only quite large, it is also littered to the brim with different types of enemies that if they spot you will chase you and kill you. On top of that, your visibility is very limited. You can only see a few feet in front of you. That's where the other player comes in. The other player has a full view of the whole maze and can see where you are and where the enemies are in real time. It's up to him to tell you where to go in the maze. He will need to guide you through the maze and tell you where to turn to find money. On top of that, he will also need to let you know where the enemies are and if they're coming towards you. If enemies are nearby, he will quickly need to let you know to hang back or to run away and hide. This dynamic creates just a truly unique game experience that people wouldn't really experience anywhere else until Nintendo Land with the Wii U. It's such a blast to play, and it really does come down to teamwork. You and your buddy need to really work together and listen to each other if you want to win at this game, because this is also by far the hardest game of the 4 minigames available in Planet Ring. You're on quite a strict time limit, so you need to make sure you can get as much money as possible before the time is up. As a player, you will experience both ends of the stick, as throughout a game you and your partner will switch roles between rounds. One minute you will be guiding your buddy through the maze, and the next you will be in there yourself. The game has a very Pac-Man-y kind of feel to it if I was to compare it to anything, but it truly is its own experience, and there is no other game I can relate it to really properly showcase what this game is. It really is something you need to try yourself. This minigame is also the one in Planet Ring that has the most content by far. The mazes are large and full of detail, and there are 8 of them to try, each one getting progressively harder. One final thing that really just solidifies this game mode as the crowning jewel of Planet Ring is the effects. So random things can happen during the game that you will have to deal with. For example, helium. Helium makes the voice chat incredibly high pitched, making for some very fun experiences, but also making things much more difficult, as it's now so much harder to clearly understand instructions when it sounds like fucking Alvin is on the other end of the mic.
Oh no! Let's try it again.
When Dream Dorobo was being made, the guys knew it was a big thing and something completely unique, and they really tried to play into it. Check out this promotional video for the Dreamcast in the UK from 2000. Bear in mind, although it's so hard to imagine now, this video is from a time where people had to really be convinced and sold on the idea of online gaming and connecting their game console to the internet. Games really very rarely had online functionality back then.
Together with these titles, Sega will also be launching a new addition to its range of hardware peripherals, microphone technology.
This is a microphone accessory which is coming out for Dreamcast. All those guys who have got access to Dream Arena, this microphone is going to allow you to have conversations with those people via voice messaging or via direct chatting, which is going to be following very shortly, particularly with some gaming applications where you can talk in a real-time sense to them. What I've got here is a new piece of software which we're developing called Planet Ring. I'm going to go to the main game which I want to show you, which is called Dream Dorobo. I simply go into this room, and then I can see that there's someone else in there called Dreamy, and I'm going to play a game with him. So hopefully Sam's here. Sam, are you there?
Receiving loud and clear.
Thank you very much. Now, which way should I go?
Go up the path, upwards, yeah, that's it.
Here.
Yeah, keep going.
And then left through the red door.
Okay.
Yeah, that one there.
This game really is such a unique fun experience that in 2000 you really could get nowhere else except the Sega Dreamcast. I also want to talk about just the general hub world in Planet Ring. Instead of just having a static menu to select your minigames from, we instead get to fully explore this, well, planet. Having your little guy traverse to the info center to access settings and check the leaderboards, and then having him navigate to, say, Splash to play a game with someone, really makes this game world feel like exactly what it's trying to be. An actual place to go and a digital theme park. Having each minigame have its own place on the planet really makes them feel like actual attractions, like they're real amusements in an actual theme park. Honestly, my hat has to go off to the overall art style and aesthetic of this game. The art style is a very bright and colourful simplistic one, but that simplicity still has a lot of character. Everything seems very inviting and stylized, from the little attraction arrows scattered across the map, to the water on the planet that splashes as you run through it and has little polygonal fish swimming around. The skybox is really nice as well, and I love the transition from clouds in the sky at day to a starry night sky as you move to different sections on the planet. There honestly is just something about this game's aesthetic that I really do like. I think the game gives me a very strong Mario Galaxy vibe with the starry deep night skies and the overall bright inviting planet look. Mario Galaxy is another game which aesthetic I adore, so that's probably where a lot of this admiration comes from. So what happened with Planet Ring? The game seems so unique and such a different type of experience to anything that was out at the time. Well, unfortunately, just like the story of the Dreamcast itself, the ending is rather sad. Planet Ring was released in December of 2000, but just a month later, in January of 2001, Sega announced some news that shocked the gaming industry. The Dreamcast had failed. While off to an incredible start at launch with sales and pre-orders incredibly strong, the Dreamcast buckled under the hype of the PS2. Sony's console launched in March 2000 and was more powerful, had a DVD drive, and was being made by a company with a much bigger marketing budget. Sega, already brutally crippled financially from their failed ventures on the Mega Drive, the disaster that was the Saturn, and pouring everything they had into the launch of the Dreamcast, did not have the pockets deep enough to keep going with the Dreamcast. Sony's console halted all traction the system had, and with the Nintendo GameCube soon to arrive and talk of Microsoft making their own console, Sega had no choice but to go third party. When this news hit, the gaming world was stunned. The Dreamcast was full of such energy and innovation, and yet its life was coming to a close before it had barely began. Planet Ring's developers had plans to continue on with the game and expand the world with events and new attractions. The attractions may have released as add-on discs, or they could have even been DLC users could have downloaded digitally. Many games on the Dreamcast had been some of the first games ever to release DLC users could download online, like the Sonic Adventure launch party, so that could have been an option for expansion. Sega also had plans to release Planet Ring outside of Europe, in the US and Japan, to give the game the bigger audience it rightfully deserved. But with the announcement of the Dreamcast discontinuation a month after release, all these plans were stopped. Planet Ring servers ran through Dream Arena, Sega's online Dreamcast service for PAL territories. Dream Arena pushed on, but the service closed a major portion of itself on February 28, 2002. No longer allowing users to connect to the website and chat. Game servers for the games, however, pushed on all the way until February 28, 2003, when Dream Arena as a whole was fully shut down, and with that, the incredible promise of Dreamcast Online innovations and future went offline permanently. Now Planet Ring was left as nothing more than a disc. While many other Dreamcast games lost a huge part of their identity when their servers were shut down, Planet Ring was left useless, and all that content on the disc abandoned, as users couldn't step foot on the planet for more than a few seconds without getting a connection fail as the game struggled to locate its own server. This left Planet Ring as a bit of a mystery for many years. The game only had a small release and never followed through on any of its plans for expansion, so very little was known about the game, and with anyone who owned a copy physically unable to even attempt to play the game game, it truly was lost media in a sense for a while, but this story does have a silver lining. While the Dreamcast died many years ago officially, ironically, as a retro console the system refuses to die. New games are still released to this day, and the online scene for Dreamcast has a sizable community working on restoring and reliving Sega's incredible innovations in the online gaming industry. In 2013, Planet Ring servers were brought back, and the game could once again, after years of abandonment, be explored and played. With that said, the server software wasn't a 100% restoration. 8 players would not work, leaderboards did not function, and most importantly, voice chat did not work, which was a huge part of this game's identity. However, in 2016, the godsend that is Shoma, who is responsible for the vast majority of Dreamcast games online being that way, improved the code and released a new server which fixed everything. Planet Ring could now fully be experienced as it did back in the day, and it is now played regularly on Dreamcast game nights. As a game, I would be lying if I said that Planet Ring was packed with content. Spend an afternoon with the title and you've experienced all there is to see really, but the game feels like something where the concept and the promise was bigger than the execution. If things went differently with the Dreamcast, who knows where Planet Ring would have gone and the attention it would have got. The game was full of potential, just like the Dreamcast, but just like the console itself, we will never know what could have been if the industry was different. Thank you to everyone who's watched this video, and thank you to everyone who has either played Planet Ring with me to capture footage, or to individuals who have allowed me to use existing footage recorded for this video. If seeing the Dreamcast Online in this video has interested you, I implore you to check out dreamcastlive.net. A link to the site will be in the description. There you can see everything about the Dreamcast Online scene, and if you're interested, purchase kits to allow you to get your Dreamcast Online now in 2022. If you enjoyed the video, dropping a like, a comment, and hitting subscribe would really help me out. If you want to be notified when my next video is up as well, hit that bell icon. Also, if you like games and especially Sega and Sonic, you might enjoy my Discord server, link in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one, take it easy.